Okay, thank you for coming out tonight to visit us here in the city of Wheat Ridge, Wheat Ridge Police Department. I think you'll have an opportunity tonight, whether you choose to apply at the city of Wheat Ridge or another law enforcement agency, to ask questions of some pretty informed people. We have a good panel for you here tonight, and I'm excited for you to understand what it means to be a law enforcement professional in this moment in time. So briefly, I'd like to talk about two things. Number one, our profession in general, and then we'll talk about the city of Wheat Ridge, maybe. By being here tonight, you've considered at least a consequential life decision. Being a member of law enforcement is a consequential decision. One that nobody should ever take lightly. One that means that you have faith in yourself and your abilities to execute this job in an ethical and professional manner. So, as I was sort of driving around to different meetings today, I was thinking about our get-together tonight, and I was thinking, a lot of thoughts about it, but I thought, when you think of who defends this country, a lot of people say, well, the president makes those decisions. But I would argue that it's our war fighters that defend this country. It's the people who go out and do the job. When you ask yourself who defends the Constitution of the United States of America, you might say the Supreme Court, and I would argue with you, and say that the men and women who wear this badge defend the liberties and the Constitution. That's our job. And it's a very difficult job. Obviously, you know that from the news. It's more difficult now than ever. So it takes a special person to want to do this job. It's not just a job. It's a profession. It's a calling. It still is. You won't get rich doing this job. To do well, I sent 4 kids through college, paid for a house. I'm here tonight, and I have a couple of dollars left in my pocket. So you'll be able to pay your bills. I think if you went out in the parking lot after this and you looked at some of the cars our members drive, our staff drives, you'd go, well, they seem to be doing all right. I think they do. They do okay. We'd like for them to be doing better, and we're working on it, but they do okay right now. So this job will take care of you. But this is more than a job. It is a profession, and it's a calling. So kudos to you for coming out and trying to find out more information about what it is to be a police officer and what it is to be a police officer in this day and age. So that's a little bit about our profession right now. I think you know the challenges of our profession, and we work very hard to overcome them. In Wheat Ridge, I think we're ahead of the curve. I think why you don't see Wheat Ridge in the news is not because we're a sleepy town. For those of you who don't know the jurisdiction very well, we abut Denver on one side, Lakewood on another, Arvada, and Golden. We're right in the middle. We're busy. If you like to work in a job where the day goes by quickly, these officers might disagree. I think the day moves by pretty quickly when you're busy, and this is a place where you're going to have an impact. You're not going to sit there and be tasked to be proactive and just write tickets. You're going to react to some very difficult situations. You're going to be living life. So about Wheat Ridge, we're a busy department. We need good, qualified people, and we won't settle for less. We don't lower our standards, and we don't lower our expectations of the people who work here. But we do try and act a bit like a family, because we know this job is hard, and we know we need to have people that lean on when times are tough. When I started my career, I thought this profession, I thought a lot of things about this profession. What I thought was important, and now what I know is important. And those are two different things. What I thought was important when I joined the department was, the excitement and the fact that every other TV show was about police. And I thought, that's really cool. What a great job. What I found out what was most important about this job was who you stand next to day to day. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about when you're in patrol or in investigations or you're doing a job, who do you stand next to? Do you stand next to somebody who's got your back, somebody that's going to do the right thing? Or do you stand next to somebody who's going to put you in a difficult position? Who's going to make you go home and wonder, did I do the right thing today? Did Did the person standing next to me do the right thing? Why the city of Wheat Ridge is different is we do the right thing. We do the right thing all the time. And you go, I don't know. If you're asking yourself, I don't know if I can do the right thing all the time, my answer to you is you can. It's a decision. Can I do the right thing all the time? That doesn't mean we're perfect and we don't make mistakes. We get that. But we recover pretty quickly and we get on the right track. And we keep each other on the right track. So when I first showed up for my first law enforcement job and realized the people I was working with were such a great group, I was willing to commute an hour every day in traffic back and forth to do that. When there was a station that was 15 minutes from my house. And I refused to leave that station because the people I worked with were so great. If you want to work with great people, and you ultimately decide this is the profession you want to be in, you'll choose the city of Wheat Ridge. Now, we've got great benefits. We're working very hard to make sure that our pay stays among the best in the area. I can't comment on it because it hasn't been approved yet through the council, but it's better and better the more we look at it. And it's looking even better this year. So you will get to ask those questions. But you'll be able to pay your bills and more. You'll be able to take your vacation when we're not that busy in August. And you will enjoy the work if you are a person who is proud about what they do. So tonight, as you get to ask questions of the members of this agency, please ask all the questions. And ask yourself, what is it I really want? What do you want out of this job? Do you want a paycheck? If you do, enjoy the free food and thanks for coming. If you want a profession and you want to make a difference in people's lives and you want a job where you can go home and discuss the human experience, which is the greatest experience on earth. It's been going on for thousands of years and it will continue. The human experience, there is no other job like it. And when you go out and you confront good and bad in society, you are living life. You are not punching a time clock and just collecting a check. You're living. And that's what I love about this job. That's why I will say, you can put restrictions on me and you can tell me, I have to wear a body-worn camera or whatever. That's fine because I know we do the right thing. But I would do it under worse circumstances because it's still the greatest job. You can throw all kinds of restrictions on me, and I get to go out and watch the human experience. And I think it's the greatest job in the world because you get to guide people in life, impact people, not just outside, but sometimes inside this agency. You get to influence the way we do business and make us better. So if you choose this profession and you choose Wheat Ridge, we're happy to have you. And we hope that we can get you into an academy. We hope we can get you over the hurdles. Please know that we need you and we want you. With that being said, thank you for coming out tonight. I appreciate your time. And I hope you ask every single question that you could think of as you walk through the door, because I know the folks up here can answer every one of those questions. So that being said, thank you, and thanks for coming.
Okay, so before we get into this, I just want to recognize some of the people that are in the room, and just so you know who is here today, we have Commander Pickett over here in the corner, Division Chief Guadagnola is in the back, Commander Hunt is in the corner back over here, and our lovely folks sitting over at the tables there. We have Sergeant Dawkins, she's with our Crime Prevention Unit, Officer Malloy, he's one of our school resource officers, Officer Mallory, he also is one of our school resource officers, Officer Mikolojak is a patrol officer, and he's currently assigned to our SWAT team as well. So I know some of you had some questions about SWAT. He's your guy to ask. And then we have a couple community service officers over there. We have Officer Ishmael and CSO Supervisor Schroeder. And for those of you that have family members that are looking for employment, our CSOs are also looking for CSO officers. So pass the word. We have our public information officer up here, Sarah. Thank you for all your help with this. And not to be outdone, but in the back, we have Millie Lewis. She is the one that put together this wonderful spread and got us all going today. So appreciate all that. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and what brought me to the city of Wheat Ridge, and then I'm going to have this panel do the same thing. So I'm Sergeant Betsy Saylor. I've been with the department for 18 years. I recently went up to the professional standards unit. So some of you have heard from me, you've talked to me a little bit. I'm the one that does some of the hiring stuff. I also do the internal investigations for the department. The reason that I came to Wheat Ridge was just like anybody else, just like Chief Murtha said. I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. I wanted to do something more, so I felt like there was something bigger than myself. And I found myself at Wheat Ridge PD. And I have not regretted it for 1 second. The people that I have met here have been second to none. My best friends in this world I have made by working here at the department. I've had amazing opportunities. I've had the opportunity, I worked in patrol for quite a while. I was able to go up to the crime prevention unit. I did that for a while. And then I went to the drug task force where I did some undercover work, which was a lot of fun. I came back to the road and did some more time on patrol before going up to investigations as a intel and vice detective. From there, I was lucky enough to be promoted to sergeant. So I have had an amazingly blessed career, and I've been able to do it alongside of some of the best and most upstanding men and women that are second to none. So that's been my experience at Wheat Ridge PD. What I'd like to do is go down the panel and have these guys introduce themselves. See if you guys will give your name, your time with the department, your current position, and why Wheat Ridge, and we'll go from there. We'll start with you, Brad.
My name's Brad With. I've been with Wheat Ridge PD for 21 years. Currently, I'm a detective assigned to the Crimes Against Persons unit. I've also worked crimes against property. I've been in the traffic unit. I've been on the SWAT team, negotiations. I've had a lot of really fun opportunities here. A lot of opportunities to do different things, and it's been a great place to work. Thanks.
My name is Cody Jenkins. I'm an officer with Wheat Ridge. I've been here a little over 3 years. I've recently been awarded the motor spot on our CAT team, so I ride a motorcycle, and also the SWAT team as well. Love it here. My experience here has been, second to none. The family we have here is amazing. And I appreciate you guys for coming out.
I'm Becca Page. I am on patrol. I've been here for 2 years, and I would say my favorite thing about Wheat Ridge was I remember when I applied, and I remember just everybody being so respectful and just really family-orientated here. And, it's nice, a small department, because you know everybody that you work with pretty personally, which is nice because you can have that work relationship and then also that personal relationship. So, yep.
My name is Brian Cook. I've been with the department for 17 years. I applied here basically right out of the academy, trying to get just my foot in the door. Wheat Ridge was one of the first ones, and I was lucky enough for them to take a chance on me. Some of the opportunities I've had is I've been on the SWAT team. I'm an FTO. I work with the cadet program. We do an honor guard here, so we have had opportunities to honor fallen officers, in addition to presenting the colors at Avalanche games, Rocky games. It's been a really great experience. I like working for a small department because even though we all work together professionally, we all kind of like each other's personalities. Everybody kind of gets used to each other. So versus a big department where people might pass you, you don't even know their name because it's such a big department. This one being small, the command staff is really great that, in a sense that they're professional with you, you're professional with them, but they can be informal and personable at times. It's a great place to work.
My name's Amber Bender. I am currently a recruit with Wheat Ridge Patrol, so I'm in the police academy right now. I've been with Wheat Ridge for about 2 years prior to going to patrol. I was with the community service team and then ended up just transferring over to patrol. What made me go from CSO to patrol is just kind of piggybacking off of a lot of these people, the patrol family and just the department in general. You can't really speak to it. It's just like a feeling that you can't really describe. I mean, when you talk about your family outside of here, that is the same sense that you get in here. Like when they say it's a brother sisterhood, it honestly really is. And with Wheat Ridge, it goes beyond just the sworn officers. It goes all the way even to the CSOs, all the way over to HR. It's just a really tight family, and I wanted to be a bigger part of that. One of the other bigger reasons why I chose to stay with Wheat Ridge versus going to a different department is when Chief Murtha mentioned that Wheat Ridge is a little bit ahead of the game. They really are in the sense of like the community policing, which that was really, really, really something that motivated me, is I definitely would rather be out in front and be able to change people's lives in a more positive way. I would rather go out there and talk to people and just be a lot more involved in my community than some of the other larger departments where you don't really get a lot of that. And that is just a really, really big goal that Wheat Ridge had, and it just drew me into the patrol aspect of it.
Okay, so what we'd like to do is open it up to you guys. What are the questions that you have about Wheat Ridge PD? Are there any issues you want to discuss with these officers?
As far as the academy, did you have any challenges right now or looking forward going through the academy?
So right now I just started week 5. It is a lot of work. You do have to put in a lot of effort. It's something that you really have to dedicate with. You got to have those conversations with your family and make sure that your life is organized and prepared before you make that commitment. I would honestly say I've never had a bigger commitment and responsibility, even though I have family, children at home and stuff. It is a commitment, but it is so worth it. I wouldn't change a single thing about it. I go home, I study super hard. My family and my friends are extremely supportive in it. And making sure you have that good support system around you and you have those good conversations with your family. I think that anybody with the right mindset and wanting to put the effort into it, you learn a lot. It goes fast. At times you feel like you're not learning anything, but then when you get to the weekly test, you're like, I got this. And the whole family setting, it starts day 1 at the academy. It's check your buddies, make sure you're doing everything that you're supposed to do. They are making sure that you know the fundamentals before you hit the street. Like I said, week 5, we're just starting firearms this week. We do not have a real firearm in our duty belt right now. We have a blue gun. You act like that gun is a real gun. So they really, really make sure that you're going to be one of the best and safest officers that you possibly can.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions right now? Just piggybacking on that, Amber, can you just talk to them a little bit about what the academy is like day to day? Is that your question? Okay, that was her question.
So the academy is run a lot like military, kind of. It's not like as hard as the military, but it kind of runs out like in the mornings you get there and you do formation. If the academy starts at 8 o'clock, if you show up at 8 o'clock, you're late. That's the same thing that they will tell you even for briefing. If you're there at the start of your shift right on time, you're late. So they really start that drill set right away in the morning. The first couple weeks is a lot of academics. A lot of it. It goes super hard, but you get that sense. It's hard to explain a lot of it because I'm only 5 weeks into it, but just even right now, just the person that I was 5 weeks ago is not the same person that I am today.
Any issues or any challenges, do they kind of help you to make sure you understand, like you said, the fundamentals of it?
So I'll be completely honest, retain a lot as much as like when it comes to academic stuff. I'm more of a hands-on type of person. But if you have those struggles and if that's something of weakness or something of yours that you know you have beforehand, don't let that discourage you. You can go in, they will tell you how to study, they will teach you how to study, and one of the biggest things that I tell myself is I'm learning how to learn. I've been out of college for 8-9 years now, so it's been quite a while since I've had to learn, but a lot of the instructors will do study groups prior to the test. They'll go over a lot of the review stuff. So a lot of it goes back to putting in the effort. If you can try and figure out how you study before you go into the academy, it's going to be a lot less stressful. Okay. But the first couple weeks, you're going to just sit there and learn how to study. Like I struggled, I was like, oh, I'm going to try and take a shortcut and just type my notes this week. That didn't work for me. I have to write every single thing. Is it time consuming? Yes. Is it hard? Absolutely. But it's worth it, and it is so rewarding when you hit that submit button on the computer at the end of the week when you take your test and it pulls up green and you passed it. It is one of the most rewarding feelings. You're like, I got this. So just making sure that you have that mindset and just know that just because you're not good at academics, you're probably going to outshoot everybody else that's there on the skills stuff, or you're going to be the best driver in the academy. That's something that they've really have instilled into us. So the first couple weeks, it's hard. It's a lot of academic stuff. It's very stressful in the sense of it goes back to that conversation where it's make sure your family knows those first couple weeks. I still love you, I'm here, but this is my time, and I really got to be able to focus in on this. So, yeah, it's just some people are going to be better at things than other people, but as long as you put in your effort and you realize what you need to do as an individual, talk to those instructors there, and they're going to help you, and they want you to succeed. You're not going to the academy like a lot of other academies where they just send you there and they want to weed you out and see who's the best of the best and then kick everybody else out. This academy is not like that. You go through this process, and at the end, when you get that final offer that Wheat Ridge wants you, they want you, everybody here, even though, yes, I was a CSO officer prior to this, every other officer that I've talked to, this is your family. I can call anybody. It doesn't matter if I only was on a call with them for 2 minutes. If I need something or if I'm not understanding something, I'm calling one of these guys because they want you to succeed. I was sitting back here. I don't know how many other chiefs of police would sit in the back room with me and ask me about my family. You know, I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota. When all that stuff was going on, my chief checked in with me. He seen me having a bad day, and that hit me hard in the core. So those are the reasons why Wheat Ridge is home to me prior to patrol. That's why at the end of the day, they want you to succeed, and they want everything the best for you. So. Huh? Smoked a lot? So there's a light pole about 2 blocks away from the academy doors, and yes, if you forget your badge, you're going to know who your buddies are, and you're going to do buddy checks. You're going to have your lint rollers. You're going to be tip-top shape. So, yeah, if I can do it, honestly, if I can do the PT stuff, I think a lot of people can do. So, yes and no. There's definitely, you should be able to do some of it, but they also understand that not everybody can go run a 5K right now. I can't run a 5K right now, but I can tell you where I was 5 weeks ago, fitness-wise, to where I was today. Like I was just telling everybody, prior to coming here, I did the SWAT PT physical fitness test. I'm sure it was a little bit diluted compared to what it really is, but nonetheless, when I first started the academy, I could not run a mile. And my mile, I think, was just under 12 minutes. Today, I can almost run a full mile without stopping. So they do take into account different people's fitness levels. We have one person in our current class that's 20 years old, and we have one that's 41 years old. And everybody at the end, we will go back and get that one individual that's slacking, and we will finish as a team. So they just want to see progress and effort is the biggest thing that they want to see.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
For the patrol officers, what has been the biggest struggle and the most rewarding experience so far?
We'll start with you, Officer Cook.
Struggles that we're experiencing is the state of the world right now with people's outlook on policing. I'm not going to lie that we are the profession that is the most scrutinized. We are under a microscope. Just like you would hear that everybody is trying to do good, but there might be that one person that's a bad apple and makes us all look bad. So when we're all trying to do our best at this agency, we turn on the TV and we see another agency across the country doing something bad, and now it looks like everybody's looking at us also. We're trying our best to do the right thing. I think we all are. The successes are when we're down and our morale is down about that. You have citizens coming out of nowhere and saying, we appreciate you. It's not everybody hates you. We appreciate what you're doing. You're keeping us safe at night. We know you're busting your butt every night, keeping us safe, patrolling and everything like that. We know you're putting your lives on the line. We know that we're watching our brothers die and we're upset about it, but we keep moving on. We're adapting and overcoming. So
I would say the same that he said, and then also, I've only been here 2 years, and after I got to the academy, I was like, I think 3 months into FTO when like COVID happened, and so, you know, that was obviously like with everything being shut down and different jail standards and stuff like that, that was a big difference for all of us with like the arrest standards and stuff like that. So that was tough because then I was by myself after, you know, well, I guess COVID's still kind of obviously a thing, but I, you know, was put on my own and I had to learn some of those things just, but again, like we're all a family, like I've never felt stranded at all or anything like that. Like every cover officer that I have on a call has always been super helpful. And then I would say just rewarding wise, I mean, like we all say, like this is the best job in the world. It's fun every day. Like I think the reason why it's the best job is because every day it's something different and we're active, we're outside, we're not sitting behind, you know, inside a place when we get to be outside and, you know, building relationships with the community and having fun with our friends by our sides. And, you know, people all the time ask me why I'm always smiling around the PD and, you know, it's a fun job. I love people here, so.
Not to sound like a broken record, but what they said. Yeah, it's kind of like I was talking to you earlier. It's, you know, it's the hard part is the people on the outside looking in that really don't know what we do, but kind of like to think they do. That's the hard part. The most rewarding part is, you know, I get to come to work and see smiling faces every day, right? And get to hang out with some really cool people. And plus, I mean, you go on some pretty crazy calls, and you know you have victims to those calls, and being able to look a victim in the face and be like, hey, we got him. He's going to jail. You know, you're going to be safe tonight. I find that very rewarding, knowing that what I'm doing is truly making a difference. So.
And you see it from a different perspective, Detective With, but how would you answer that question?
What was the question? No, I'm kidding. Hang on. Yeah, I think it's rewarding wise. It's there's a new challenge every week. I like the idea that I'm not coming in just doing the same thing every day. What happens outside of the police department, in the community, in our hotels, on our streets, kind of dictates a lot of what I do. And so I may come in on a Monday and be able to work on maybe a robbery case I've already had, or I may come in and I have, a second-degree assault, strangulation case, and the guy's at large. I just say guy because predominantly it works that way. And I have a victim, and I have to make sure that she has, the victim's protected, and this is a person that we have to get, in jail. So there's a lot of neat challenges, and the work is very important because you really are making an impact on people's lives. Some of the challenges are, and I'm not going to kid you. Has there ever been it's my Friday and I'm about to get off, and something comes in, and you're at work for another 6-7 hours. That happens. And another challenge as far as being a detective is we're on call. So you have notice of this, but your phone can ring at 1, 2 in the morning, and you have to get up, get ready, go into work, and you may have to go into work. I think the longest I've gone in is probably about 20 hours after being woken up, and then you may go home, sleep a little bit, and if it's a major case, you're going to get up and you're going to go back. So there are a lot of challenges, but I also look back through the years, and the biggest rewards are also the biggest, most important cases. So that would kind of be my synopsis. A lot of variety, and also really impacting people's lives.
Any other questions? So one question I would like, particularly Detective With and Officer Jenkins, if you could answer this for us. What is required to qualify for special teams, and how much time with the agency and experience do you need to do that?
Yeah, to be a detective, you have to be with the agency for 3 years, and you have to be in good standing, have good evaluations from your supervisor, have a pattern of writing good reports, being thorough, and having attention to detail.
For the crash and traffic team, they prefer 3 years, be with good standing, supervisor approval, and the SWAT team is the same parameters, I believe. And really, it's just making a good name for yourself. Coming in, working hard, doing quality work, making sure you don't get dirty emails from the detectives when you don't do something right. Just really making a good name for yourself, working hard, and try to broaden your horizon. If you're uncomfortable with doing something, give it a shot. Try it out. Maybe you'll like it. I wasn't nearly too particular about the crash and traffic team, and then I put in for it and I got it, and it's not so bad. I actually like it. Turn your weaknesses into strengths. So just work hard, and put your head down, and make a good name for yourself. You'll go far.
So how would the panel say working for a mid-sized department like Wheat Ridge provides for opportunities for a variety of experiences?
Working for a small department, obviously there's going to be competition, but it's obviously not going to be something versus you're working for Denver, where there's hundreds of officers there all trying to vie for that position. Working for a small department, it's, like he said, working hard, staying out of trouble is a big thing. Showing interest in whatever you want, like the SWAT team. If you're just new on the department, but you want to go out for a SWAT team, well, you can still go out for like the oral boards that they have. You might not get it, but it's good experience, and whoever's heading that oral board is going to remember your face and going to remember that you had interest in it. Other ways to involve yourself to help you out is sometimes, if like I'm just using the SWAT team as an example, is sometimes they put out something that they need role players for to act as a bad guy for training. So if you're doing out there and you're being involved with that, they're going to remember you too, saying, "Oh, well, this guy is really wants to be on the SWAT team, and he's trying to do everything he can to be involved." Other things, if you want to go for a detective or anything like that, there's plenty of people that are in that position already that you go and you can, pick their ear and get their outlook on how it is. You might not know if you want to be a detective or be on the SWAT team, so it's good to go to those guys and say, "Hey, just like you guys, hey, what's a day on the SWAT team like? Is it going to be hard? What do I got to do?" And they might give you some advice to say, "Hey, this is what you need to do," so that you're getting involved and you're getting prepared for it. I think it just makes a big difference versus a big department where you're going to have so much competition and everybody's so busy, they're not going to give you that one-on-one type of advice.
I think another thing to take note of is with Wheat Ridge PD, a lot of our special assignments are rotational positions. So it's basically a 4-year rotation. So if you go to a unit, you're there for 4 years and then you rotate out. And so that provides for a lot of opportunity for other officers to have that experience as well. Like I said when I introduced myself, I've had the privilege of working on a lot of teams here at Wheat Ridge PD, and it's because of that rotational position that I was able to get in there, get that experience, and then come back and bring that experience to my team, and somebody else gets to go in there. So I think that's another great thing about Wheat Ridge PD when it comes to specialized assignments. So real cool. Let's see how you guys can answer this one. How does being an officer or detective with Wheat Ridge PD provide a work-life balance? Hey, do you look like? Go ahead.
Well, the first thing is we work 4 10-hour shifts, which is nice. So that typically you'll have 3 days off. Now, we don't offer any work from home the whole time right now, like other companies. It just doesn't work with our line of work. We're kind of boots on the ground kind of operation here. But yeah, so I think it depends where you're at in your life too. Sometimes a family with young kids, having 3 days off and even having days off in the middle of the week for a new officer is not, maybe works better for them. I know in investigations, we have 410s and we kind of have staggered starts. I'm an early guy. I like to come in early, but we have other people that like to come in a little bit later, and it gives us a little more coverage too throughout the day. So there's a little bit of flexibility there. But having that third day off, I think, is a real big benefit, especially in this line of work where it can be stressful work, and just having that extra day off to reset is kind of nice.
Kind of going off of that, I don't have a family yet. I have a fiance and a dog at home. Also, we're getting married pretty soon. Just bought a house. So on the flip side of that, the department offers a ton of overtime opportunities. So you can try to make a little more money if you are hurting for money. But the department's great. They're super flexible. If you do have something come up that's a family issue or whatnot, I've seen them bend over backwards to help officers out and give them the time off that they need to accommodate to whatever's going on in their life. So,
Kind of like what Detective Witt said earlier is, as a police officer, like if you're on swing shift, you work a 12-hour shift, but your dedication to the department, to the community it's not always going to be a 12-hour shift. It could be a 13-hour shift, a 14-hour shift, and that could just be late call, report writing, helping out because another shift is, doesn't have enough staffing that night or something like that. And so I think just having like supportive people at home that understand that you're not always going to be home. It's not like I get off at 5, I don't get off at 5. That rarely happens. So just knowing that there's just not that set time that you're going to be home. Sometimes you get called in early. Like I was just on graveyards, and sometimes I'd be sleeping, and at 4 o'clock I'd get a phone call. Hey, can you come in? Absolutely. So I think just always kind of being able to be flexible, and I don't have a family either yet. So A little bit easier for me because I don't have kids or anything like that or husband. But yeah, I think just always being flexible. Yeah, so sometimes like the supervisors will put out like to the whole department, hey, we have this overtime opportunity, and sometimes it's just, you know, who can reply back the quickest is sometimes who gets it. But I know that if, you know, if it's obviously the same person who's wanting to do it, they'll, you know, well, you know, Cook hasn't done it in a while, let's give him the opportunity to work an overtime shift. Yeah, I would say it's done fairly. Like, for example, like there's been a couple times on, when I was on swing shift last year, if they needed someone to hold over to help graveyards for a little bit, they would, hey, Paige, can you do Monday night? And then, hey, Cook, can you do Tuesday night? Like, they would rotate instead of, you've been on 2 years, you have to do it every night type of thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, and I can tag on to that as well. As a patrol supervisor, when those situations would come up, we always try to make sure everybody pulls their fair share of that, or, you know, sometimes there's just somebody that always wants to do it. If they want to do it, sure, but if not, we try to spread that out pretty evenly. Any other questions? So what I'd like to do is just go over some of the hiring process real quick and go through kind of what we're looking for and where we're going with that. And then I can answer any questions you have for that. So I know some of you have already completed your application, correct? So that's going to be the first step. And right now we currently have a process open. So if you haven't applied and you want to, you can certainly do that. Go on the City of Wheat Ridge's website, and there's a button that says Be a Police Officer. You click on that, it's going to take you to the link. You'll fill that out. What happens from there is those applications come to me. I take a look at them, and I make sure everybody meets the minimum qualifications. If you meet the minimum qualifications, then you get sent a personal history questionnaire, which I know some of you have told me you also have gotten those already. So it's incredibly important to fill those out and get those back to me before the deadline, because that's your next step. So from there, if you make it through the personal history questionnaire, you go to your polygraph. I want to touch on polygraphs real quick, because this is incredibly important. A lot of people get really hung up over the polygraph, and they get real nervous about it, okay? Like Chief Murtha said earlier, we do not expect people to be perfect. We're not perfect. We know you're not perfect, and that's okay. All we're looking for is honesty. So go through that, be as honest as you can, as upfront as you can. If there's an issue, you can talk about that with the polygrapher, but basically, people get hung up on this, and we're not looking for perfect people. There are no perfect people, okay? So just go in there and be honest. From there, if you pass the polygraph, you go to the psychological background check. Okay, and we use Brower and Associates for that right now. And again, it's the same thing. There's no way to beat a polygraph. There's no way to beat a psychological. You just go in there and you answer it honestly and truthfully. Okay, so they go through your history and kind of talk to you about a bunch of stuff. Again, be honest, be open with them about that, and you'll be perfectly fine. From there, we go to background. So once you pass polygraph and psych, then we send you to a background. Sometimes our detectives will do those backgrounds for us. Sometimes we send them out to another background investigator. So here's what's really important, because this is where your process can stall out. Make sure that you're available to that background investigator for phone calls, emails, text messages, however you're going to communicate with them. And along those lines, whoever you put down for a reference, contact those people and say, hey, I applied with Wheat Ridge PD. They're going to be calling you, because we do contact those references. So if you want to make that process go a little bit smoother and quicker, that's one of the quickest ways that you guys can do that. Okay, so just be available and be open and honest through that process. Sometimes we get questions about drug use. Again, we're not looking for perfect people, but marijuana use, you have to be marijuana free for 12 months from the date of application. So as long as you haven't used within 12 months. And with hard drugs, cocaine, all that kind of stuff, 5 years. Again, honesty. We're looking for honesty when this comes up, because they do delve into that in the background and that kind of thing, so it's incredibly important to be honest with that, okay? So that's basically the hiring process in a nutshell. Do I have any questions about the hiring process that I can answer right now? Yes, sir. So the current deadline is September 15th, but we're probably going to play with that a little bit and maybe extend that out a little bit longer because it comes so closely to when we're doing this event. So I would anticipate we'll extend that out to maybe October. Any other questions? Oral boards. Let's go over oral boards real quick. I didn't talk about oral boards. So once you get through the personal history questionnaire, we schedule you for an oral board. An oral board is basically when you come in and there's a panel of officers, usually about 3, somewhere in there. There's a supervisor and usually 2 officers or detectives. And we ask you different questions. So keep in mind, what we're looking for there is we're looking for thought process. Can you logically think through a problem? Can you come to a logical solution if we give you a problem? We may give you a problem that you'll say, I'm not a police officer, I don't know how I would do this. We're not looking for the right answer necessarily, but we're looking for, can you problem solve? Can you think critically? Can you think in terms of teamwork and including all your resources? Okay, make sense? So, does the panel have any advice for people on oral boards? That's generally a pretty often asked question.
My advice would be to study the website, look at the website, know about the city that you want to work in. It would be bad if you didn't even know the core values in right there on the wall right there. Or if they said, you don't even know who the chief of police or anybody is, or anything like that, just study it and stuff like that. Helps you if you know the city. If anything, go around and drive the streets of Wheat Ridge, know where the borders are and something like that. Do ride-alongs with officers, ask officers questions.
I would say there's not necessarily always a right answer to the questions that they ask you. Again, I haven't sat in an oral board from the other side, but basically what they're looking for is the way you can articulate and just the way that you can critically think and the way you can solve a problem. So I would say don't be so focused on, am I answering this right? Am I answering it wrong? Just know that they're basically just looking for basically your thinking process and the way you can work through issues and problems and stuff like that, because that's what we do on a daily basis is we respond to calls and we have to articulate and investigate and figure out what's going on and stuff like that. So,
And I'd just take some time and be prepared to answer, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And when it comes to your weakness, don't make it one that's really a strength, I'm really too thorough, at a fault. Really think about that, because we all have them, and I think being able to tell people about that is important. And then during the oral board, when you're asked a question, it's okay to take and pause for a minute and really think it through, because you'll be nervous. You got these faces looking across from you, although I think our people are pretty kind, but take that minute and really think through the question before you give a response. Okay? And then also, if you feel like your response is the correct one, don't be swayed from that. Okay?
Before we let you guys go for the night, does anybody have any other questions, concerns, issues, anything at all that you want to bring up? Okay. So I just personally want to thank you for being here. Wheat Ridge is looking for good people. We have a lot of good people that work here, but we're always looking for more. So this still is a very honorable and noble profession. If I didn't think that, I wouldn't still be here. But I love my job, and I love the people that I work with, and so that's why I'm here. I love this community. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I love it all. So thank you for being here tonight, and we'll all kind of stick around. If anybody has any questions or just wants to chat, we'll be here for you. So thank you.